Hello friends, for today's video I wanted to go through a list of books that I'm hoping to get around to in the month of April. I am going to have this TBR be a little bit on the shorter side as I want to ensure I leave room for any leftover books that I had placed on TBRs within the first quarter. As such, I'm not going to necessarily mention those stories, but there is sort of an implied anything that I still need to get around to is also on this TBR. There's only one book that I did mention for the first quarter that I'm going to mention again here because it was sort of a formal, I'm actually pushing this back, which would be Defiant. This is part of the Songs of Chaos. And I've read the first two in the series and greatly enjoyed them. I had buddy read the second book with one of my friends here on BookTube, my friend Roger, and both of us had such a great time reading that second book. One, because we really enjoyed it, but second, because it was just something that we both feel like we're craving, that sort of epic fantasy that you can kind of just get lost in because it isn't afraid to take its time with some of the little things and the development and the build-up and establishing the foundation of the story. And so the two of us just kind of got sucked into it together. And I can't wait to pick up the third book, but he's had a lot of stuff going on in his life. I've had a lot of stuff going on in my life. And we thought, why don't we go ahead and plan on buddy reading it in April. So that is the plan. We should be picking it up here in this upcoming month. And then additionally, I know the author is actually progressing really nicely with the fourth book in the series. Still don't know release date for that one, but I know he's on track with some of his goals. So really looking forward to continuing to stay up to date with this series. And we both plan on doing that, me and Roger, by picking this third book up in April. The next three books that I want to mention are ones that take a little bit of setup. I'm actually really excited. I think this is going to be a fun challenge, so to speak. So I'm kind of doing this as a companion to another video that should be going up sometime within April. I had mentioned here and there that I asked all of you, my patrons, and my friends for some recommendations based off of my tastes. So you're trying specifically to give me a recommendation that you actually think I'm gonna like, not something that you just kind of want to troll me or something, or force me to pick up something outside my comfort zone. It was truly, what do you think I would like based off of my tastes? And I am going to kind of compare and contrast all the different books for that and see which ones do I think actually really fit my taste perfectly. So when you're thinking of, okay, if we're to score how well did this accomplish the prompt, it scored really well versus how much did I actually enjoy the book. And if both of those things are great, then that's kind of like the winner of the challenge. But some of them I could see meeting my tastes and then I don't really like the story, even though on paper I should. And then there might be ones where I don't really know how that's my taste, but it did work out for me. So I think that's going to be a really fun project. But I wanted to do something similar, but in a different area. And I thought, how can I try to do something like this, but with Reddit? And I didn't want to go to Reddit and ask for recommendations necessarily, but I wanted to do something where I brought Reddit into the equation, not for this specific video, but for a separate one. So I decided what I would do is I would not ask for like myself, but I would type on the internet recommendations for, and then a book series that I really like. And then I would go to Reddit and I would look at some of the top comments. And I had to find a recommendation within the top 3 comments, and that would be the thing that I read to see, okay, if you like this series, then there's a chance that you'll like this series as well. And these 3 books, I'm not going to say what I typed in. I will when I do the official video for this, but I have these 3 books as the ones that people commented, and it'd be kind of fun actually to see if you can guess what I typed in and got these responses for. I do want to note, though, that if you are going to guess, one of them I didn't type in a book, but I did type in a different fantasy story. But I won't say too much about that. But the 3 books, we have Trader Baru Cormorant. I have heard fantastic things about this one. I've heard that the intrigue in this is off the charts and that the political aspects of it are great. I think also that Rosario Munda, who wrote the Aurelian Cycle, I'm pretty sure that author really likes this series too. And I thought that they did the political elements within the Aurelian Cycle really well, and I'm like, well, if they like Trader Baru Cormorant, then I feel like there's a chance I'll like it. So I've had this one on my radar for a long time. I just haven't had a chance to pick it up, so this was perfect. When I saw it, I was like, well, I've wanted to read it anyway, and then it'll be fun to compare it to the thing that I typed in initially. We also have The Black Tongue Thief. This is another one that I've had on my TBR for years at this point, and I kept meaning to get around to it and just never had the chance, so this is a perfect opportunity. And then the last one, and this is the one that was not from a book necessarily. It was from a fantasy story in a different medium, but the book would be The Beast Player. This is one that I saw at a bookstore and I decided to get on a whim, but haven't had the chance to pick up. But I have wanted to get around to it at some point, and I already own it. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity. And these 3 books I feel typically wouldn't be in some kind of video together. There's not necessarily a thread that unifies them. So it is kind of exciting that these are all going to be pretty different from each other. I think that's going to make the vlog for this one a lot of fun. But anyway, those 3 books I'm very ecstatic about. Next up, we have some anticipated fantasy releases. The 2 that are the most I have to get around to this type of books would be Faithbreaker and A Drop of Corruption. These are both sequels in their given series. A Drop of Corruption is the sequel to, oh my gosh, I'm spacing on the name of it, by Robert Jackson Bennett. I don't know why I can't remember the name. The Tainted Cup would be the first book in the series, The Shadow of the Leviathan, and the second book is A Drop of Corruption. I know I am definitely not alone in anticipating this one. A lot of us are really looking forward to see what the author does next in the series. And then Faithbreaker comes after Godkiller and its sequel. So this is the 3rd book in the series. Sunbringer is the 2nd book's title. And I did feel like the 2nd book, I don't know if I would go as far as to say it suffered from middle book syndrome, but I feel like maybe it had a little bit of middle book syndrome in that, just from the very obvious nature of it was a middle book and kind of had to bounce off of what happened at the end of the first book, which was relatively explosive. Then it had to kind of reestablish itself and then set us up for the 3rd book, which I hope means that the 3rd book is going to be really great, but I won't know that until I pick it up, which I hope to do in April. The last 2 that I'm going to mention happen to be buddy reads that I'm going to be doing with my patrons. One of them would be The Counselor, and if I can, I actually do want to try to read this one around when I read Train to Brew Cormorant, because I think that these are both pretty politically heavy, and it'd be kind of fun to read these near each other to sort of compare and contrast those political aspects of the story. But regardless, I am very much looking forward to this one. And then we're also going to be buddy reading the Shadow of the Fox trilogy and starting with that first book in April. This is a reread for me. I've read this trilogy and I quite liked it. And actually, I was just talking about middle book syndrome. This trilogy, I do think, has middle book syndrome quite a bit. The 2nd book had a element to it that made it feel like one of the characters was basically not even in the story. And it also has one of those, this being that's lived for a really long time speaks in a way that feels a little bit more modern and casual. And I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. But the work that was done within that 2nd book, I think, led to what felt like just a final boss rush for the entirety of pretty much the 3rd book, which had a lot of heavy-hitting moments. So I'm going to be buddy reading these with patrons, and with the Shadow of the Fox trilogy specifically, I'm going to likely also do a video discussion with some of my friends. For Patreon, if you want to join that discussion, of course, the Patreon will be linked. And then The Counselor, I think I'm going to do probably a dedicated vlog for that one. I'm really quite looking forward to it. I can't wait. Just a quick additional update that as far as book related things on my end, writing I should say related things, at this point, by the time this video goes up, the 2nd book in my series will be available in digital form through retailers, so you can find it. It's out now. And I also have a PDF version if you prefer that you can actually purchase from my Patreon. You don't have to be a patron. You can just purchase it there if you are interested. But I feel like the more exciting news is that the audiobook for the 2nd book is scheduled to be recorded within the month of April. It is a very long book, so the recording session is going to last a bit of time. And then I should get the audiobook files back either very end of April or early May. And then once I've gone through that, then hopefully I can have the audiobook out either in May or in June, depending on, I don't think there will be anything that needs to be done necessarily. I just want to make sure that I listen through and I kind of have that. It's less a stamp of approval because I'm sure the work's going to be great because the work was amazing for the first book's audiobook, but it's more just, I think, for my own peace of mind and sort of like closure in a sense to ensure like, okay, I can take that. I can, release the breath I didn't know I was holding sort of situation. I'm very excited though. I'm very excited. The audiobook portion of it, despite the fact that it is quite a financial undertaking, it is one of the most seamless parts of the whole process. Actually, at least with this company, they're fantastic and the narrator is amazing. He's incredible. So I'm really looking forward to the audiobook getting done. I will try to give updates about the physical copy. I know it's been kind of odd to have the digital and then audiobook and print not all necessarily being at the same time, but sometimes that's just how it goes, especially as a self-pub author. Things don't necessarily always, the stars don't perfectly align at all times, and that's okay. I'm just excited that the book is getting out there, and we're in the home stretch of things and working on other books to write, which is very exciting. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye.